years during the summer, I've been employed as a lifeguard at our local water park. One of the most permanent memories I have from my experience out there was my very first aquatic rescue. I was working at the wave pool, the waves were on, I was standing on the edge of the pool, I looked down to scan the water, and I see a younger boy, no older than 12. He was just going under the water. He was very distressed, he was continuously intaking water, kept gasping for air. And so I realizing this as a lifeguard, I blew my whistle, jumped in the water, had him hold on to the rescue tube and waited for the waves to stop, and waited for us to get to the shallow end of the wave pool. When we get to the shallow end, I ask him, make sure he's okay first, and I ask him, where are your parents? And he says, oh, I don't know, they're just running around here somewhere. And then he takes off. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, where's this boy's parents? Obviously, this young child is not a very good swimmer. He's not that great at it. But his parents just let him run around a water park alone. And then it hit me. His parents' faith in me and my abilities as a lifeguard was enough encouragement for them to just let him roam free. Even though I don't necessarily agree with that, reflecting on this incident reminds me of when Peter walked on water with Jesus. In Matthew 14, verse 28, Peter answered him, Lord, if it is you, command me to come out on the water. When Peter calls out to God, or to Jesus, he is displaying the basis of faith. He knows that if he calls out to the Lord, and if the Lord beckons him onto the water, then he will be able to go out on the water with no problem. That is the basis of faith. Thus saith the Lord. Whenever you hear thus saith the Lord in the Bible, you know that it's concrete and nothing can change it. It is unwavering. Verse 29, Jesus simply says to Peter, come. So Peter walks out on the water. And for a few yards, he is able to walk on the water. What it is that keeps Peter above the water? It's faith. His unwavering faith in that moment in Jesus Christ is what is able to keep him walking above the water. In 2 Corinthians 5:7, it says, we walk by faith and not by sight. But after a few yards, Peter begins to sink. Why does Peter begin to sink? He sinks because he's doubting. He's doubting that he's able to carry out whatever it is that Jesus had asked him to do. Whenever he doubts Jesus' word, he is doubting Jesus' ability. He's doubting Jesus' power. He's doubting Christ's will and provision for him. Why did Peter doubt? Peter began to doubt because he looked around him and he saw the waves and he saw the wind and all of the stuff that was happening around him. So when he began focusing on that, he lost focus on what it was that Jesus was saying to him. He lost focus on Jesus' will for him. Sometimes in our daily life, we also start to pay attention to the things that are surrounding us. We begin to lose focus on Christ and what it is that he is wanting us to do, our path that he wants us to follow. When we begin to lose focus on what it is that Jesus has for us, we begin to sink. We begin to go into depression, or we start to get angry, or we let things build up inside of us because we have lost focus on what it is that we need to be focusing on. But although Peter did lose his faith, he called out to the Lord for the Lord to rescue him, and the Lord immediately reached down to Peter. It says in verse 31, Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took a hold of Peter. In our day-to-day lives, no matter how often we may lose our focus or no matter how often we may lose our faith, we need to be able to call out to the Lord because the Lord will immediately, in that moment, reach down and rescue us in our situation. We can't continue to have our faith resting upon man or man-made things or anything else that we may see in the physical world around us, because cursed is the man who puts his faith in man and who turns away from the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, Jeremiah 17.